Let's look at techniques to help students learn about comparing fractions. We're using free online visual tools from Conceptuamath. In this case, it's the Comparing Fractions tool. And I'll demonstrate how to effectively use this tool in a 5 to 15-minute group discussion. Let's see how I've set this up. I've chosen to have 3 fractions on the screen. They're all ninths, 3 ninths, 5 ninths, and 4 ninths. And I've labeled 2 of these text boxes, smallest and largest. At this time, I don't have the symbols of less than, greater than, or equal to in display. I'll add those a little bit later. So we want our students to intuitively understand the relative values of these fractions, but many of them won't until we help them. So what we can do is begin with a class discussion, whole class, in pairs, in small groups, where the students discuss the meaning of numerator and denominator. And we're hoping that they understand that the denominator conveys the number of equal parts and the numerator the number of parts that are being considered at the time. But then we can move ahead and look at a visual representation. I tend to gravitate to the vertical fraction bars. We have different representations as well. Horizontal fraction bars, we have the circular fractions, you can use the area model. I'm going to go back to the vertical fraction bars right now. And so what we can do is point out to the students and help them to see. That's the important thing, that they see for themselves, that these are all the same total value. The rectangle is the same size and shape. They're all divided into 9 equal parts, and that in this case 4 of the parts are shaded, in this case 5, in this case 3, and they can get that visual and somewhat visceral sense of the difference between 3 ninths, 4 ninths, and 5 ninths. Whoa. For older students, we can also look at decimal equivalents. And in the case of ninths, it gets somewhat intriguing. As we represent ninths to the thousandths place, we'll see 0.333, 0.444, and 0.556, and you can have a discussion with them of why there's a 6 having to do with rounding. So if we go back to the fractional representation, we know that 3 ninths now is the smallest, and we want the students to find that out. Certainly if a student were to come up to an interactive whiteboard, which you can use clearly for this session, and if they do something that's not correct, we're not going to simply tell them it's not correct. We're going to help them to explain their thinking and have the group to help come up with a thought process that's more clear and accurate. So here's the 4 ninths, here's the 5 ninths. And at this point, if we wish to, if it's an educational objective in the lesson, we can add these indicators, the symbols, greater than, less than, or equal to. And here we know that we indicate that 3 ninths is less than 4 ninths, 4 ninths is less than 5 ninths, and we've completed the use of this tool to help the students to learn comparing fractions. It turns out that when you choose the check work function in the tool, it gives you an indication of whether you're right or wrong, and then gives a visual representation as well for confirmation.